Hello fellow cyclists, hope you're all well. Today we're talking about derailleurs. These are the gears on the back of your bike. A lot of people worry about them, but once you know what they are, they're very, very simple. I'll show you what they're all about. So, rear derailleurs. They're called derailleurs because they stop the chain from derailing off of the sprockets. Now, with these, the same as with brakes, there's only three things you need to worry about, and they are the cable tension. This one's nice and tight, which is adjusted on this bolt here. Could be a bolt, could be an Allen bolt. Then you have the two screws for the high and low settings there. Now they're the things that everybody touches when their gears stop working properly, but they're the last things you should touch. Once they're set up, and I'll show you what they do, they should never really have to be adjusted. So I'll show you what they do in a little while. And the other thing, apart from the adjuster for taking the tension out, the same as the brakes, is this little adjuster here. So there's three adjusting screws. Two are for the high-low settings, which I'll show you, and this one actually affects the tension on this part here. It pushes this forward or backwards to make sure your chain is nice and tight. As you'll know, your derailleur works by clicking these levers forwards and backwards to go up and down your gears. And what they do on your bike is, as you know as well if you ride, is that it makes your derailleur move one step at a time to change your gears. Now, the level that it changes is determined by the actual shifter itself, not by the derailleur. If you take a look at this derailleur on this bike here, it hasn't got anything to it. You can see that it moves very easy. There's no clicking, it just moves side to side. It's purely the shifter that determines how far the derailleur works. To give you a better example of different shifters and how they work, just so you know, here are three different shifters through the ages. This first one here is an 80s shifter, and this never had the clicking. It literally just moved and you had to guess where your gears were on these ones. There was no actual clicking to them. They're the older ones, and those you used to find quite a lot on especially road bikes and races on the down tubes. Now these ones are from the 2000s, and these are, again, they click through up and down set spaces, so your rear derailleur goes in the right place. And this one is from the 90s, and this is exactly the same. It's a click through. It's one of the first click throughs, and that will also make your derailleur go onto the right gear. Now this one was for 7-8 speeds, this one was for 9-10 speeds, and this one was for 6 speeds. So each one, depending on which shifter it is, will make the rear derailleur move just the right amount of space to go onto the next cog, depending on how many gears you've got. So you have to have the right shifter to go with the right gears. But again, if your bike has come from a bike shop or has never been upgraded or changed, then the ones you've got will all work together. So I'll now show you how to fix and adjust your rear derailleur. So to adjust your rear derailleur, the first thing you do is put your gears all the way down to its highest gear. So coming all the way down to its highest gear, and the highest gear is when the chain is on the smallest cog. So the smallest cog is your high gear, and your large cog is the high gear. So high gear all the way down to low gear. High gear, low gear. Put it to your low gear. Now if you're having trouble with your chain or your gear's not indexing properly, or you can't get to some of your gears, then the reason that is because your chain has stretched, and that's the first thing you'll need to do. Now if you go all the way down to your highest gear and your cable is very, very loose, then all you need to do is to adjust it, and your gear problems should be sorted out. So to do that, you need to go to your adjuster and screw it all the way in, and this takes out all the tension of the cable. So the cable is, as you can see, this one's quite loose, so this needs to be adjusted. And then what we have to do is we'll have to undo this bolt, pull the cable through as tight as possible, tighten it back up again, and that should be your problem sorted. Let me just do that now and show you. So to adjust your cable, all you need to do, this is a 9mm bolt, is undo the bolt, hold on to your cable, loosen the bolt off, and then just take the tension out of the cable. So the tension's now gone, and then do it back up. And that's it. That should now make you be able to index all your gears, and the best thing you can do is take it for a ride and make sure it works. And if you do have any problems with the indexing, what you can then do is just quarter turn this out and see if that does. That will just take any additional slack out that you may have, and that should be able to then allow you to index your gears properly and have the full range as before. Now the reason you can't get the full range when your cable is too slack or stretched is because it purely doesn't have the tension to pull the derailleur as far as it needs to. And that's it. And now what I'll show you is what the high-low screws do and why you should not touch them if your gears were working before. Now if you've set your cable and you can reach all your gears, if you can reach your low gear and your high gear, but your chain is coming off and it's derailing, then your two limiting screws aren't set up correctly. This may be because you've put a new derailleur on, or it may be because you fiddled around with these now and it's not set properly. So I'll show you how to set these. So if you check your derailleur, what you'll have is you'll have one will have a H and one will have an L. Now the H is for the high gear, which is this little one here, and the L is for the low gear, which is for this larger one here. So if you can see on this the high gear and this jockey wheel, it's not lined up. So if there was a chain running on here, then the chain would come off this side because the jockey would pull it too far over. So what we need to do is we need to adjust this screw and screw it in, and you'll see, should see the jockey will move over. There you go. And then we just screw it over until it lines up with the gear. So the jockey wheel is now lined up with the gear, and what I would normally do is go just slightly inside. So it's just inside that cog. So that one is now set. Looking from this angle, it looks like it's set. So that should be in line or just inside. That should just be inside the high gear, that one. And then if we lower this down and pull this over, this one is going too far. So again, if there's a chain running on here and you was riding the bike, the chain would come off this side. So what we need to do is adjust this screw in. Let's just screw it in a little bit and then check it. Almost there, a little bit more, and again just keep it so it's just on the inside, a quarter turn, just on the inside as it is there. That looks about right from the angle that I'm at. So now those two screws are set, and if you put your chain on your bike, that should be fine. If you do find that your chain is coming off either side, it's worthwhile just doing a quarter turn on these just to bring the limitation back in, because these are limiting screws. They're limiting how far your derailleur can go. So that will be the screw set up. Now the only other screw you have is this one here, which is another limiting screw, but this limits how far this can move. And what happens is when you've got your chain on and the derailleur is down and running, if this is set wrong, you may have a bit of sag on your chain, so you'll just tighten that in to pull your whole derailleur back slightly to put tension on the bottom of your chain, but I'll show you that later. And that's how you set your limiting screws for your derailleur, so your chain shouldn't come off from the low gear or the high gear. So just to recap, the things you need to do is you want to check your rear derailleur or your gears aren't working. If your gears don't index and you can't get all of your gears, then the first thing you need to do is put your gear into the highest, smallest cog and check for tension. If there's no tension that's loose, then adjust the cable from here. If your gears are dropping off the top end or the bottom end, so sometimes you'll ride along in your chain, you go to your highest gear and the chain drops off, or you go to the lowest gear and the chain drops off. What you need to do then is adjust your two limiting screws here and there, H and L for your high and low. Remember, your high gear is your smallest one at the back, and your low gear is the largest cog. And if your chain is looking a little bit like that, so it's got some slack in it, then that is this screw just here, which just pulls the tension back out on the chain. And enjoy your derailleurs, enjoy your cycling. Thanks for watching Absolute Beginner Cycling. If you have any questions about rear derailleurs, then leave a message in the comments below. If you'd like help or want to see a video about something else, then also leave a message in the comments below and I'll see what I can do.